Hi Jennifer, how are you this week?
I'm good, good,
Yeah?
good as can be.
Okay. So, thanks for coming in again. I'm glad we could find another time to meet. So, I'm just going to recap a little bit about what we discussed in our last session. So, I know that you said that you were divorced about 6 months ago from your husband.
Correct.
You have one daughter, correct? And she's about 11, you said?
Yes,
Yeah?
correct.
Okay, and so I noted a lot in our last session that when we sort of talked about your kind of feelings and your thoughts about going through this time, this divorce, and having this kind of new beginning for you, that you said there were a lot of things that you should have done or must do, and I was getting that there was quite a lot of kind of just anger towards yourself and a lot of guilt and blame. Is that kind of, am I correct in that's how I was
Yes,
perceiving
yes,
that?
yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I think for this session we should just pick right up there because I think
Okay.
we should address some of those things. So
Okay.
just to kind of explore these ideas of should haves and must, one of the things you said in the last session to me, you said, just in my notes, that you said I should have been home more. So could you just kind of explore that and expand on that, what you kind of meant?
Okay, because as we discussed, I'm a manager,
Mm-hmm.
so I have a few people underneath me that reports to me, and many times being a manager, I have to go home late. I can't just get up from my office and walk and leave individuals there
Mm-hmm.
to, it's my
Yeah.
responsibility to oversee. So a lot of times, because of that, things happen at work. I have to last minute decide that I have to stay back
Mm-hmm.
and work to get the problem resolved. So there was a very significant time where I was late for my daughter's birthday party. So I think, according to my husband, that was the last straw. But I walked in and, they were just finished, blowing out the candles and, you know, people were just making comments that I could have chosen my family over my
Mm.
job, or I should have done that. So, yes, I've been feeling really guilty. Did I really put my job before my family?
Yeah, I could see why that would bring up some of those
Yeah,
emotions.
yeah.
So so just to touch on that, like you were saying that you were getting home late most nights, and of course being a manager, as you said, um, that's a lot of work. That sounds like it's to manage people and to be the
Yes.
boss. It's a big responsibility, and you have people's lives in your hands, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it sounds a little bit to me like you're being a bit hard on yourself, because if we just explore this for a second, and I mean it, being a manager is quite a successful position to hold in a job. It means you really put your time in, and that people trust you, and that you're very good at it. It sounds like you're quite successful in it. um, and so it of course would be difficult to balance those two, to balance your work life and your home life. And um, um, so would you think that that's sort of right, that it sounds to me like it was overwhelming
Yes.
trying to do both? Yeah.
It is at times almost like a juggling act,
Yeah.
kind of trying to figure out, like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we need the income in our family. So, many times I've thought, should I give up my job, look for a different one type of thing? But, it just, and, you don't get any support because my husband just thinks that black and white. He just thinks that, it's just the job or the family. And so, yeah, it's a hard position to be in.
Yeah. No, I can understand that. I can see how difficult that must be. So I mean, being overwhelmed and coming home late and having all these responsibilities at home as well. Um, would it be fair to kind of maybe say that perhaps to say that you should be home every night to be with your family and to make dinner? Would you say that maybe that's a bit being a bit too hard on yourself? I mean,
I'd say so. It's very, very hard
mm-hmm.
because I really do want to be there.
Yeah.
But my job, it's a responsibility
Mm-hmm.
that I have to do. So it's just not enough hours in a day. Sometimes you think something is closing off for the day, but then something happens when you're in, operations. So it's out
Yeah.
of my control,
Well, exactly. And so
Yeah.
that's when we're sort of looking at these ideas of things where I should be home every day to make dinner for my family. I must be there. I will be a bad wife. And
Yes, I've
and then
had that.
yeah, so those thoughts, right, they sort of come automatically, and then they make us feel negative emotions. But as you just described to me with what you're saying, is that you're absolutely right. Sometimes things come up at work that are
Yeah.
beyond our control, right?
Yes, it is.
And as the manager, you can't just leave it in that position and go home for the night. Sometimes you have to really be there to smooth that over. um, so I'm just wondering if we could work together on combating these thoughts and making them more balanced, because the evidence that you're showing me is that yeah, sometimes things come up that are unexpected. You have a lot of responsibilities and obligations at your job, and you would like to be home more. So maybe, when we're thinking about this, could you maybe think of a more balanced idea that could incorporate the two rather than I should be home and I must be home?
I really can't, to be honest. But I mean, I am on the weekends when I am home. I do sometimes get a little comfort to know that I am doing my responsibilities on the weekend, all the laundries. Sometimes I try to cook a few extra meals to freeze them and stuff like that. And but then it's the nights that I come home, like I miss my daughter's birthday, blowing out of the candle, and my husband, he becomes really angry, and then all triggers all those emotions that I feel guilty as a mother, guilty as a wife, and my little girl, I mean, she's a little girl, but still sometimes, she's sad if I'm late or I miss her bedtime, and so I didn't say goodnight to her. So it's hard to find I guess my husband doesn't help.
Yeah.
He really doesn't help. Maybe if he was there and could, but I don't know what to say. It's just hard to find a balance.
Yeah, so maybe that's another thing, is that when we're looking at these, because when we think of ourselves in ways of shoulds and musts, right, we paint ourselves into a corner. It puts a lot of pressure on someone to have to do something.
Yes.
And then of course when you don't meet those expectations that you put on yourself, that's when you start to feel, as you were talking about.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering, when we're looking at maybe sort of relieving some of that pressure, instead of saying should and must, a more balanced idea that will help calm us down in the moment would be, well, I would like to be home more, but I can't always because I have obligations at work. And that's okay. It's okay to have those obligations. So maybe saying to myself, I should be home every night, we could maybe say, I'll try to be home more nights.
I'll try that.
Rather than every night is kind of
Yes.
black and white, all or nothing, right? We can't always commit to that. It's quite difficult, yeah?
I'll try.
Okay.
Yes.
So I just want to work a little bit more on these, and one of the activities that I just wanted to go through, which are really good for these thoughts, is a thought record. So basically what we do is a little bit what we were doing here, but a bit more structured.
Okay.
And we kind of highlight a a thought that we have that's very emotionally impacting on us, and
Okay.
and we try and balance those, right? Because as you were saying that you really felt like it was you, right? I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
Mhm.
what I got from our last session was that you were saying that it was, you know, my fault that
For
our
the divorce, yes.
So I kind of want to just, you know, challenge those thoughts a little bit, because it's hard to do that alone.
Yes.
So if you can just go to a situation, maybe within the last week, that really triggered an emotion in you.
Had to be probably when I was at the supermarket.
Yeah.
And I was, just about checking out, and there's a little eatery right at the end there, and I saw a mom with her daughter, and they were eating, and the family was sitting there eating, and just made me feel, that maybe, I wish I could do that, or if that was my family,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I can
Made
see
me feel
how.
like, she's a good mother. She, is finding the time to be with her child and
Mm-hmm.
family meals. I can't tell the last time I was at dinner with my family.
Mm-hmm. So when you think about that, and in the moment, what if you could identify in one word emotions that you felt in that moment?
Sad and guilty,
Yeah.
you know, just really guilty. Yeah.
And if you could, on a scale of 1 to 100, give a percentage on how sad you felt or how guilty you felt, and sort of pinpoint a number, what would that be?
I felt really guilty, so I'd say about 80 or 85%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, what were the thoughts, if you could identify maybe one or two thoughts that went through your head as these emotions, and seeing that? What were the thoughts that were going through your head at that time?
Just like I said, really sad that, I just can't be there, having these special moments with my daughter, like taking her out for a meal in the evenings and stuff like that because of my work schedule. As I said, it's not a 9 to 5 job. A lot of times I'm there till 8 or 9 o'clock. So just feeling really sad. I really miss the times when I used to go to her ballet classes with her, and, feeling just guilty that, that mother seems to able to, and, I'm not.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is that you felt like you were being inadequate, sort of, then, as a mother.
Mother, yes.
And that would be the kind of hot thought that was
Yes.
going through your head.
Yes.
Okay, so how we kind of challenge these thoughts is, I'm going to ask you to give some maybe evidence that would support that thought. You know.
Not sure if I understand the
So
question.
when you're saying, I was an inadequate mother,
Okay.
what evidence in your life, things that have happened?
Well,
things
the
that
dinner,
said
like
to
I
you?
told you,
Yeah.
when I missed her birthday, that's important to her.
Yeah.
My husband has divorced me,
Mm-hmm.
and families are just judging me
Okay.
and being on my husband's side, and saying I'm choosing my job over my family.
Okay. And so now, to counter that, what would be some evidence that would tell you, no, I'm not an inadequate mother? What would be some
My daughter
instances?
loves me.
Yeah.
When I do go home in the evenings and she sees me, we spend time together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, can I say? My ex-husband, every now and then,
Yeah.
he'll check up on us to see how we're doing.
At the moment, do you and your daughter, when you spend time together, do you watch movies? Do you go to the park? Do you do activities together?
Yes, she likes to go to the park. But she's a different kind of park because she's learning to rollerblade now because she's 11.
Yeah.
So that's what she's doing. Yeah.
And what are some of your daughter's favorite activities?
As I said, she's in the ballerina class, so she likes that. She's very crafty. She makes a lot of crafts, bracelet.
Yeah. Oh, she
So,
made that for you? Oh,
yes.
That's beautiful.
That's what she likes. She's not a TV child.
No. So it sounds like you do a lot of going out and
Yes,
doing things.
we
together.
do. Yeah, on the weekends. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, to me, that sounds like a great deal of evidence that you're really not a bad mother. You're doing activities with your daughter. Um, should we pause?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Um,
I'm sorry about that. That was just a text I was expecting. Sorry about that.
no problem. So that sounds like that's quite a good relationship that you're having a good relationship with her. So what I want to kind of do now is have an alternative thought to this kind of very closed thinking that I'm an inadequate mother. Let's break that open, because we have evidence that you've pointed out and shared with me that you're really not an inadequate mother, but sometimes it can feel like that, right?
Yes, it does.
So if we balance that thought, what would that maybe look like, or what would that sound like if you could summarize a thought that would make that balanced?
Well, though my husband and I, we've been divorced, right? My daughter and I have a good relationship now. And as I said, my husband and I are, somewhat getting along better. And I spend a lot of time with my daughter. Still working on the job situation, but, just doing the best I can.
Yeah. So maybe something like, although I'm having my struggles, my daughter and I have a wonderful, loving relationship.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
And
Yeah.
that's true, and it's balanced, and it's not making you feel like you're an inadequate mother. It's not closed.
I never looked at it that way,
Yeah.
but yes.
So if we kind of look back to that beginning and that scene at the supermarket and those feelings, I know you said you were feeling very sad, and you said your guilt level was at about probably an 80 to 85%. Now with this more balanced thinking and these alternative images and really checking it against reality, what are your feelings now? If you would rate them on a scale of that 1 to 100.
Positively? Is that what you mean?
Or just
I don't think if I think and start changing my process of thinking the way that you're showing me, then to turn it around. My daughter and I really do have a good relationship now, and maybe we can't do, like, everybody's life is different.
Yeah.
So maybe that mother, maybe she's a stay-at-home mother.
Exactly.
So the important thing is that I feel loved by my daughter, and I know I love her, and we're getting a better understanding as my work schedule. So I'd say that I'm not really, maybe not focused so much on the sadness anymore,
So it's come down then.
Yes,
it's not
come
as
down.
high. Okay.
Yes, the percentage of how I feel. No, it's not 80 or 90 anymore,
Okay.
I don't know if I can put a percentage on it, but I know it's just decreased quite a bit.
Okay, well then that's fantastic. So for homework, what I want you to do is I want you to, in the next week, if another situation comes along that again triggers some very high emotions in you, just to go through this again. Just go home and just
I
work
can take
through
this
this.
home?
Yeah. I'll give you a blank sheet.
Okay.
Just write down and go through it exactly as we did, and we can go over it in our next session then.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, it was great to see you, Jennifer.
Thank you for seeing me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope you have a great week, and we'll see you again.
I'll try. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
problem.
Okay. Bye-bye.